All right, it is now recording.
All right.
I'm just taking some quick notes here. Okay. Yeah, so I saw that zipline video is pretty cool. That was from a year ago that you did that?
Yeah, that was not this past summer, but the summer prior. So I
Oh,
think that
okay.
was around June or so. I just happened to take a video on my phone at the time, and several pictures and stuff. And
Yeah.
I thought that would be a kind of a quick win so it wasn't real prepared to do any unboxings or reviews or whatnot, but I wanted to continue getting videos out.
I
So
agree. Yep, I agree.
compiled that, and that it seemed to work out pretty well.
No, I think that was pretty sweet. I like that. That's pretty good. I just I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So
All right. Well, and I just watched your video, and that was very good.
was it?
Very informative.
I did a little
Yeah.
editing, so there were some parts where when I was rewatching it, when I watched it back, there were parts where I kind of trailed off, or I would say one thing that's very important. Actually, I'll get to that in a second, and then I wouldn't get to the important thing. So I just, or I would get to the important thing, but like 5 minutes later, So I did some editing with it, but other than that, yeah, it was pretty. Went pretty quickly, actually. So
yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
cool, good. Yeah, and the so basically, I took that Camtasia file, and I wish there was a way. Maybe there is. So I wasn't able to. I didn't want to do all the editing in Camtasia because I know the Adobe Premiere better. So I was trying to.
Mhm.
I exported it and then opened it in Adobe Premiere. Once I exported it, it was kind of locked in, so I couldn't move like where my face was and stuff like that. Like I couldn't do those
Right.
types of things. So maybe I have to export them separately, or keep it separate when I.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you would necessarily do it in both programs because it seems like they're tackling the same purpose. They're both
Yeah.
editing, compiling, or whatnot. And so you may just need to pick one or the other.
Just
And
fix it in Camtasia first.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but no, I thought it came out very well. Oh, that's right, because Adobe Premiere does not do screen capture.
Correct. Right. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
used really all I did was just start recording in Camtasia, get it all done, stop recording, and then immediately exported it all to Adobe Premiere, and then I was able to do the editing.
Gotcha.
So only because, like I said,
Yeah.
I've kind of decided on Adobe Premiere over Final Cut Pro. So I like
Oh yeah.
short keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you might be right. I mean, for screencasts, it might just be easier just to do it all in Camtasia and be done with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, mainly because I haven't used Adobe Premiere, but I know for screencast, since you can record and everything in Camtasia, everything ends up being that same file, and so you can start chopping up the video and splicing it back together.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
I mean, you do have the separate layers in Camtasia, so you are able, and like you did, right? You're able to re-record parts and overdub things and move. So, like maybe for screencasts, that's just what we do.
Yeah, well, and that's that zipline video is a good example because I wasn't sure. I guess the other nice thing with that was it was an excuse to learn some more of the ins and outs of Camtasia. Like, okay, well, you have an image. How long is the image, there? Oh, if you, drag it for the length of your video, it's there the whole time. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you can kind of end up doing like overlays and watermarks and all sorts of
that's
interesting.
Pretty interesting. That's cool.
But it does, it takes a little bit of finagling to figure out, well, what am I doing here? How's it all going to work and play out? So I think there's definitely a learning curve there, but as you get into it, it's definitely it's probably very similar to Adobe Premiere in that, or once you start doing it, it's kind of addicting in a way. And you're like,
oh yeah, no,
more of the ins and outs, and all the trickery and whatnot.
So I was kind of thinking, because I put that on our Cubesweb channel, and like obviously your zipline video does not belong on Cubesweb. That's pretty clear. But I was wondering like where we draw the line. So I don't know, where do you want to differentiate like what we put on Cubesweb versus what we put on our personal travel channel? Well, so I'll ask a specific question. The reason it came up. So I was going to do a video just about like my yearly goals, right? So we can kind of talk about those today too. I think it'd be a good part of this video. But so if it was just a video of talking about like what you want to accomplish next year and how, blah, blah, and it was just you, where would you think that belongs?
So like just me and not a separate channel or, so, or would I be making, see, I don't know if I would put that up on Wayward Traveler or not. And the only reason that I don't know is because I haven't actually, I've only have 2 videos up there, but I haven't done any that actually shows my face for me talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I have a picture of myself on the zipline video, but I'm not talking or anything.
Right.
It's a selfie.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if I would put that on Wayward Traveler or if I would necessarily put that out there. I mean, maybe I would. I don't know.
Well, and maybe here's the other part is that if your yearly goal is pretty specific and you're talking about, it's pretty technical. So you're talking about how, I'm going to set up a certain number of A/B tests for, for the fitness website. I'm going to set up A/B tests for this, that. That's fairly technical, and that might belong on Cubesweb. But if your goal is, I'm going to reduce some body fat, I'm going to buy a toboggan, I'm going to, right. I mean, that might be something. I mean, so maybe you make 2, right? Maybe you make 2.
Yeah, I think so. When if we're talking about who might actually be interested, me losing 50 pounds, I need to, but anyone that's probably watching Cubesweb, they don't care.
Right. Cubesweb should be more for how do you streamline your business personally.
Right. Or how do you streamline your business? How do you, because I think that we're starting to evolve what Cubesweb is, and it's mainly business productivity and starting up new things that's business related, like monetizing YouTube, that's business related. And how are we doing with that? So it's like business related goals, I think would be very appropriate for Cubesweb. Me purchasing 3 different firearms, probably not so much.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep. Right, yeah.
Or something like that, and that might, be very appropriate for Wayward Traveler, if I'm reviewing firearms or whatever. But so I definitely think that you can have multiple year-end review type videos and post them in multiple locations, or if you decide that my personal life, I'm not really putting a lot about my family or stuff out there, so people really aren't going to care about that. They might, but I don't necessarily want to put it out there, so I'm not going to put my New Year's resolutions in terms of my personal goals out there right away.
Right. So speaking of that, I also had and I don't know. So as part of all right, I'll back up 3 places here. As part of our yearly goals, we had talked about a certain number of videos. Actually, we said 30 videos in 6 months. I'm wondering if, as we do more videos, do you think that it will get easier to come up with topics, or do you think that we'll struggle to come up with things?
I actually think that it'll get easier, and the reason for that is because as I've been trying to lay out different things for Wayward Traveler, I have a Google spreadsheet open now with 19 video ideas.
Oh, okay.
Laid out, and that's just with stuff that was just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
and that I remember, because I haven't been filling this out as ideas have been coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're really sticking, or when you think that your output only needs to be 3 to 5 minutes,
yeah,
it really does open up a lot of doors, or it really takes that intimidation factor down quite a bit. That, okay, I don't have to spend a ton of time on this.
yeah.
And I can put out something that's reasonably valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that becomes easier once you start putting your face in front of the camera, and you're not necessarily doing reviews of a product. So when you can kind of mix and match reviews, and you just kind of riffing off the cuff on a different a topic.
Yeah.
I think that you end up spending more time editing, which is not bad, than actual shooting, and you end up getting something out there much faster.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I think that's accurate. And as I've been I've actually been filming more, and then working on the editing is very slow, like you said. So I've been doing filming. I have some things in progress, but in process, and it's a matter of kind of getting edited. But yeah, as you say, well, shoot, here's something that I barely touched on in this video, and that would actually make its own good 5 or 6 minute video just about that.
Yeah, because you think about it, it doesn't take long to fill 5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you and I just do these, just you and I talking, and we can talk for over an hour with very little pauses. Granted, we're all over the place, but so but when you narrowly focus down on one little thing, you can get some great information out there in not a lot of time.
Yep. No, that's right. So what oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, and speaking of that, I think what I've found, at least because I've been watching a ton of YouTube now,
mm-hmm.
Since I put 2 videos out, I do find myself watching a lot more YouTube. So all the stuff that we talked about months ago that, you really should start watching YouTube. Well, I have. And I think what I've found that's somewhat irritating is the videos that have a solid 3 to 5 minutes worth of good content, good information. It's what I was looking for, but I had to sit through a minute introduction of of pre-roll stuff, just going in or whatnot. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, so the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, if I really want to, have someone send this video back to me, because I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, if I do pre-roll in any of my video, it has to be less than 20 seconds.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that completely. Yes. So if you're going to have like a little fly-in intro bumper that says "Wayward Traveler," it literally needs to be 6 seconds of this.
It can't be very much time, and maybe this is just the genre that I'm looking at, because I'm looking at like people that are reviewing firearms and like emergency preparedness packs and stuff like that. So maybe that's the genre, but I'm like, for God's sake, do I need to watch an intro video of you shooting all these weapons? It's fun the first time.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes, you just run around, playing a real life Call of Duty here. And
right.
I mean, it was really entertaining the first time I saw it.
No, I think that's how a lot of them are. It's not just that genre. It's that people are suddenly like, well, shoot, I'm Fox 2 News. I can have this intro. Or I'm CSI Miami. We need some shots of me driving in the truck, and then me landing the chopper, and me, doing this.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Oh yeah, and it's okay for it to be 2.5 minutes of that. And it's like, you're exactly right. It's not at all okay, and it needs to be.
No.
I think, branding yourself is a good thing. I mean, you do need to have something, but it needs to be, 4, 5, 10 seconds at the most. It, something zips in, Wayward Traveler, goes away.
Right.
But the other thing that I do like when people do, and this is probably just personal preference, is it starts off with them talking and saying, we're going to do this and this, blah, blah, and then it jumps to your
and then get it.
bumper.
Yes.
And then you're back. Yeah, I think.
Well, and because I've seen a lot of that as well. Hey, we're gonna talk about this today, blah blah blah. And that takes 10 or 30 seconds, and sometimes even that intro is way too long.
Well, yeah,
it's
right.
You're talking about a lot of stuff that you're going to cover later, but you spent 3 minutes covering that, and now you're going to make me watch a 2-minute intro.
Right. Yeah.
All you've proved to me is that you're an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. You've done nothing but anger me so far. Yeah, but if you were to do something like that for the Zipline video, I think it should be, hey guys, welcome to Wayward Traveler. About a year ago, I went on this Zipline thing. Video after the jump. You do your thing, and now, literally, like within 10 seconds of the video starting, you have your your point of view shot, and you've done your intro, you've talked, it's over.
And I agree. I think that would have added a lot to that video. And like I told you in Slack, lesson learned. So, I finished the video, exported it, uploaded it to YouTube, and I still have it open in Camtasia. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should save this. I'm like, why burn the disk space?
Yeah. Right. Storage is so expensive to waste
it. And the correct answer to that is, it's not 2003 anymore.
Right. Yeah. Just store everything. There's no reason to discard it. Yeah.
Save it, store in a Camtasia file or some video project file or whatever it is. Keep it. And store all the assets, because what I found in Camtasia was if you move any of the assets that you imported, you'll lose. They can't link up to those anymore. So for each project, you should have a project folder, specific, and save all that crap, back it up, put it up to Google Drive for whatever. And that way, if a friend comes up with a great idea that, hey, if that video is great, but it could be better if you did X, Y, and Z. Well, then you can actually do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. I was just writing down store and back up everything. That's the lesson. So having said that, I don't know if I'd be able to really do one this year. It would take a lot of planning. But I was thinking about doing like a year in review. And I think that once we have a nice catalog of videos, that'll be a hell of a lot easier to do than to try to do one right now. So that's probably something that we'll do next year, or maybe even 6 months. We do a half year in review.
Well, yeah. In June, we can touch on, hey, where are we at in our 30 video progress?
Yeah.
Have we gotten 30 videos out? If so, what do they look like? So, and what I'm finding is excuses not to do videos. It's like, I really want to do this type of video, but I need X, Y, and Z. Well, do you?
Yeah.
Do you need, more gear to do another review? How much? I got all sorts of crap downstairs that I can, I could feasibly do a gear review on every piece of backpacking equipment that I own.
Sure. Yep. Oh yeah, because it doesn't have to be something that you like, even, right? You don't have something that's good.
Well, that's the point, right? If you have crappy, if you have something that pisses you off, that's probably an even better video.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So right. It can literally be everything that what you think about this. I got this. I tried this. And
think about Cubesweb. Look around, and I would even extend Cubesweb to even more than just business. Because I think that it could be technology and hardware as well.
Yeah.
And basically how we work, or what we do. Like how often are you pissed off with your keyboard or your mouse? Or do you have something that you really like? I could do a review on my Razer mechanical keyboard.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to get used to that, and I do, kind of like it so far. And, so there's all sorts of little reviews that you can put out there.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's, yeah, exactly. I have all these different stands that I use. So I have different ways of like mounting keyboards or not, sorry, mounting computers and mounting monitors. And I'm constantly testing like different ways of hanging a monitor, or hanging multi-monitors around. So that I like that too. So yeah, so that the Cubesweb to also include technology and hardware review.
Yeah, because like I said, I mean, just everything that we have around, it could just be a quick review. It doesn't have to be anything, terribly fancy. Just our opinion for what it's worth. Hopefully someone finds it valuable.
Yeah, yeah.
And really, I would imagine so.
I mean, exactly. Like, really, the only thing that I'm not, and we mentioned this before, the only thing I'm not interested in is doing code. I mean, so really anything
absolutely
up to, but not including code is interesting to me. So,
I mean, I have this collection of like the knobby Gorilla Grip stands now because I'm using like iPhones for different filming purposes.
Yep.
And what I found, I bought one. So I live in Oregon. My parents live in Ohio. And we have a 7-month-old baby. What I found is putting an iPad mini on one of these stands makes FaceTime ridiculously easier. Yes, it is very similar to that. Yeah. Very, very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's they're fantastic.
Yeah.
So I've been using those, and those are review worthy.
Oh, absolutely, because they're somewhat expensive. I think this is like the $49 one, the $50 one, but there's like an $80 one. That's
I think I got a couple of the $39 ones, and I got a $19 one for just smartphones.
Oh, okay.
Or basically like your iPhone 5 and smaller, and okay. It works great. I wouldn't say that it's the sturdiest of all things, but I mean, if you don't put a DSLR on it, it's going to work fine.
Right.
Your iPhone 5 or 4 doesn't weigh a lot.
Yep.
And I'm pretty happy that I've been keeping those as I've been upgrading and stuff. So now I have between my wife and I have 2 iPhone 5s and maybe like 4 laying around here. So I actually have like a couple of decent auxiliary video cameras.
Yeah.
So when you're talking, you want to do multiple shots. The first thing that I was thinking was like, well, shoot, now I'm going to have to go out and buy another video camera or get some GoPros, and but you think about it, you have multiple video cameras probably in your office, and I would say that that's probably true for most people that's watching this. That's thinking, well, I don't want to buy a camcorder. How do I get into it? From what I'm finding, your iPhone or your Android is more than capable of producing.
The iPhone especially.
Quality.
Yeah.
Quality YouTube-worthy videos.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. That's I do read a lot of that stuff too. Is that the iPhone is actually really good. For that.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting different angles of, and then actually labeling stuff as B-roll or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the other.
Yep.
You find you start getting into this hobby of being a hobbyist videographer.
Right? Yeah.
The lingo of B-roll.
Yeah.
I don't know what else, but that's the only one that I can think of, and I'm not even 100% positive I'm using it in the correct way.
That's another. There's another word, but yeah, no, absolutely. That's you're right about that. Is that I don't think it's based on. Well, here's a perfect example. I think a good way to prove that it's not based on hardware or it's not based on your equipment is think of all the super high budget movies that get into theaters that don't make any money. You know what I mean? So if someone could have said, listen, this movie is not very good, but if you use these better cameras, we guarantee it'll be better. They absolutely would have spent as much money as they
Right.
wanted to, right? They have unlimited amounts of money for hardware, so it has nothing to do with that, so it's
Right.
based on content. Yeah, and I actually think a lot of that makes for interesting topics. Now, sometimes difficult to record, like what you're using to record, right, or how you're setting your stuff up. But I think that makes for an interesting topic, though, is to say this is how I do product reviews, and this is kind of my multicam iPhone setup,
Yep. Well, that's the thing. Like, once you can kind of template product reviews, and I've not done a product review yet, but once I can come up with a decent template to do that, you can crank out product reviews in ridiculously short periods of time. I'm convinced. I mean, if you have the product on hand and you know how you're going to shoot it, and you shoot all these relatively the same way, the only thing that's really changing is your opinion on these different products. I think that's it ends up being a pretty winning strategy. And I'm sure that there's something out there, but that can end up being an ebook for like Cubesweb. We throw that up on the Cubesweb website, and that's a downloadable thing. So I don't know. I think there's definitely some research and documentation that can go out there.
Well, so that actually leads into is a good segue. One of the goals, and this is not I actually wanted to talk, maybe not today, but I was going to talk a little bit about how to make good goals, right, for for the new year. This is not an example of one of those, but I'm looking to come up with better systems and better processes, right? So that's absolutely not measurable at all, but exactly what you just said is having a template to very easily do a product review, and it's not a big deal of, all right, now let me get this camera set up, and where do I put stuff, and what am I doing? Well, and if you have a template set up for that, then you can just, those types of things, are really like that are perfect. So, like I said, one of my goals is to take tasks and take things that I do, and try to create systems and processes for that makes it accomplish. So that was one of
and then I mean, maybe the hardest part with the product review thing, but I think that's a good example, is like finding good examples of product reviews and what makes them successful, and just kind of breaking it down. And I think that I think that's actually a really good video for Cubesweb. Is, hey, if you're doing a product review, this is how you might consider doing it like this. This is what we have found to work.
And even if it was something like start off with facts and figures, then move into your opinion, and then whatever that is, I don't know, but that type of thing, where if you can
and then have this. 7 shots of it being used, from these angles, and I don't know
exactly. And the other thing is, like, it's not, unboxing videos are cool, but at the end of the day, if you have a 5-minute video and 4 of it is the product is still inside the box, that's not a good ratio of, what I mean? So it's coming up with that ratio of how long the unboxing is versus how much you're actually touching the product.
Yeah, I actually took unboxing. I had a couple of, because I have a bunch of parts coming, and I was going to do an unboxing video for each. And after doing the silver unboxing, I opted that there's not a lot of value there. I guess it's kind of fun to open up a box or whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'd rather do it as almost a review, or the intro to a review. Here's what this was it, package. This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Go into your pre-roll or bumper, whatnot, and then and then go into you actually installing it or using it or reviewing it or whatever. But
so what I just wrote down, though, is possibly to have that template. And when I say template, I'm talking about like a software style and a a real life kind of template, how to do, where to put the camera stuff. But if you had a template for unboxing, just like you said, you get a box in from, Amazon, you can say, all right, well, let me just, I have to open it anyway. I'll just record it,
just put it up and record it. And
you have this 2-minute recording of you opening this thing, and in a month when you do a review of it, now you stick this unboxing at the beginning, you do some edits in it, and so maybe it's a good idea that you get that stuff, but it comes down to having that template, so it's not a barrier to you. The last thing
you don't have to think about it
when you get a package, you say, all right, let me get all my stuff set up. Let me put these lights together, and I got to get this. It wants to be, I'm opening this, I might as well do it over here and push record. So
exactly. Well, and going back to something that we said a long time ago, not putting your preconceived notion of what's important, on the products. There might be a million people out there that just love watching nothing but unboxing videos.
Well, you might be surprised actually that one of the popular things right now is kids opening gifts. That was I don't know if it still is, but it went viral a little bit, kind of recently. People opening gift, Yeah,
so there's no value there per se, but that could certainly be part of your either personal channel or in the context of like Wayward Traveler, it still fits in there, and it just maybe you put that as a I think that you can do like subtopics or categories or something like that, and maybe you have just an unboxing project or category, and it's always labeled under that, and your subscribers, if they don't want to watch any unboxings, well, they don't have to.
Right.
You made it pretty clear that it's an unboxing. If you wasted 3 minutes of your time watching me open a package from Amazon, it's your own fault.
Yes. Right.
So don't downvote it.
Yeah. I had something else. So.
Well, while you're looking for that, now the video that you put out, how long did that take you to put together?
So I think it was there was about 10 minutes of actual video. It took me, I think I spent 30 minutes doing the editing, and then it ended up being like the 5 minutes. So I probably all told, it was just under an hour.
Okay.
And
I figured that if
my editing was going on this computer while this computer was compiling. So like I would make changes and start a compile, and then now when I do that, it severely impacts my productivity on work, because like I'll finish compiling and it'll be 2 or 3 minutes before I get back to it. You know what I mean? But anyway, I can do that. So I was kind of editing at the same time. So I'd like start the compile, and then I would come over here and work. So yeah, probably under an hour.
Well, I figure if you spend less than 2 hours a week, putting together a video, that's probably not too bad. That's not going to impact your daily life or your family life too much.
Yeah, no, exactly.
If it's a little bit fun, then even better. Treat it as a hobby. Obviously, because I certainly view YouTube as kind of a hobby at this point. But
right.
Maybe that changes.
And I do agree, like trying to find some examples of good product reviews, and then doing those videos about how to do product reviews. I think that's something.
Yeah, and I'm sure if we did a search on YouTube, there's probably some out there, and those might be pretty valuable to watch. And that's actually where I'm getting a lot of review ideas, because people are reviewing all sorts of stuff, and a lot of the reviews that I'm seeing, it's like, well, shoot, I have that exact same product, and I kind of hold the same opinion, but I think that I can just put together a better video.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Or yeah, if it's
or not. I mean,
it's a different opinion or one additional item. Yeah.
So it's like, wow, if this guy can do it, and I can certainly do it. So you do get a lot of that. So I guess that's another bit of advice, and not to be discouraged because there's a bunch of other stuff out there on a particular topic. I mean,
well, that's what you and I have always heard, right? I've always learned about software products is that if you come up with an idea and there's a bunch already out there, that means it's a good idea, right? That shouldn't shy you away from it. That means that it's good. That means that people are using it.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Well, that actually, that means that I'm going to have to videotape Grayson and the dog opening up presents this holiday season.
I think so. And I'll try to find it
as well.
I'll put it in the notes. People opening stuff. Viral videos.
Yeah, so I guess that, there's the other thing. It's like, well, how do you get discovered? How do you get found? And I'm not really sure I'm not sure what the answer is to that. But it happens somehow. Like, I'm really surprised that with that silver video that it has as many views. It only has like less than 50 views, I think. But I've not put it out on my personal Facebook page or Twitter or anything else. Right. And so I did nothing more than just upload it to YouTube. And I think that's kind of my experiment with Wayward Traveler, is not putting it out to my own friend group. I just want to see how many, so aside from you, of course, but how many, strangers would end up, liking or subscribing to or following. So outside of, my wife and you, I'm not really, letting anyone else know that I'm, doing these videos or what they're about.
No, I think that's a good experiment because, your mom and dad love everything, right? So, love everything you do, certainly. So yeah, getting other people to discover it. But like when you're watching your silver unboxing video, there's all those other videos out on the side. That's how you get discovered. So it's
I think you're right, and that actually, because I've been clicking a lot of videos because of that as well. And I think that actually pulls up or maybe highlights something that is really overlooked, and your intro image. So whatever YouTube is going to use as a thumbnail for your video, which is usually the first frame of your video, from what I can gather. And if your first frame is more compelling than anyone else out there on the topic, I'll bet you're going to get more clicks. And I think that's a good experiment. So not necessarily branding it with something generic, Wayward Traveler or something, but branding it with something very compelling that people would click on based on that.
Well, and I think you've probably seen it, or it started to come up, but you get if you get into a YouTube stream of bloopers or like funny videos, then you start to see like news bloopers, right? Have you ever seen those news blooper compilations? And those news blooper compilations, the thumbnail always, without fail, shows a reporter whose shirt is about to bust open as the thumbnail.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and it's just clickbait, you know what I mean? And,
that's all it is.
Yeah. And I've, because so there's other videos like World Star, the World Star videos and stuff that I watch. Those are all the same way as well, where like the thumbnails are generally inappropriate, borderline pornography. But then as I read the comments, people are like, I clicked on this for the thumbnail, and that girl isn't even in here. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it is absolutely bait, but you're right. So not to take, I'm not going to take this video and put, a pornography thumbnail, but I generally, because I choose the thumbnails for these videos, and I try to choose ones where you and I aren't just sitting here. So I choose ones where like I'm drinking, or like you have your hand up, or something, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So I try. There's not much happening.
So how do you choose the thumbnail?
I don't know which tab it's under, but when you're in the let me find out. When you're in the video editor, oh, sorry, stand by.
So you can actually choose it from YouTube. You don't have to build your video with that in mind.
Correct.
Interesting. I didn't know that. See, that's something that's very important.
Give me 2 seconds here, and I think I'll know. So if you go, yes. So if you go to in the upper right corner, so if you're on YouTube and you go to the upper right corner, and then you pull down and click on Creator Studio, and then that Creator Studio opens, and you click on Edit for one of your videos, and then you'll see 3 set as thumbnails, but you can also do custom thumbnail. You could upload something right there if you wanted to. But generally, like I said, what I do is I'll go through and just find something in there that's, I use one, normally for these videos, I use one of the ones that's existing and just find something where one of us has our hand up or one of us is doing something out of the ordinary.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's really nice. Well, that's perfect because if you can control that, or by controlling that thumbnail, I think that you do really set yourself apart and you give yourself a much better chance of having someone click on it. And then if you can provide value in that first 3 minutes or first minute, I think you're well on your way to increasing your subscriber count.
The other thing that I've read and that I haven't done is, so while the intro stuff that we talked about at the very beginning is really just for branding, but the outro stuff is relatively important. So you, instead of relying on that right channel or that right kind of gutter for the videos, you can put your own videos at the end and there's a way in the YouTube Creator to make sections clickable. So if it's part of your video, you have like 4 other of your videos.
Sure.
Then in the YouTube Creator, you can kind of circle those pieces and make them clickable. That's okay. That's very valuable. Yeah. So you can make so if you make those 4 videos clickable and something that says subscribe, and they can click it. Subscribe.
Let's pause this real quick. I gotta accept the delivery.
Sure, no problem.
See, if we had this template, do the unboxing right here.
Exactly. So
so we're talking about YouTube thumbnails, and that's so that's the end bumper. I've not even thought about, and maybe that's reading or watching successful YouTubers videos, like in the categories of the spaces that you want to be in. I've noticed that it seems like it's probably 10 or more videos before people start to put intros in or exit bumpers or whatnot. Yeah, and you do progressively get better and better and better.
Right.
But yeah, it's when do you put those in? Do you do it your third video? Maybe.
I would.
I don't know.
I would go ahead, because when I'm watching one video from you, I don't know if you have 100 or if this is your first video ever, right? I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
So
that is true.
When I get to the end, if at the very end of your video, if I get 4 more, little pop-ups, and it says,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I also check out my other unboxing videos, and you have 4 other ones, and then at the bottom it says, and subscribe for more. I might just click one, right?
Well, and that's the big thing. I mean, asking for people to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
I've not done that yet, but I only have 2 videos.
That's what does it.
You almost have to kind of establish in your own mind that you're going to continue to do this.
Yeah.
That, okay, I'm 5 video. What do you think? You think if you get to 5, you're probably going to continue. Continue.
Yep. And I think it's about consistency. Well, it is. Yes, it is about consistency. But in addition to, there's 2 parts of it. One is that you have to make a commitment. The other one is if you can immediately start to get people to comment. I mean, think about if you start getting some comments on your, your silver unboxing video, that's huge motivation to do more, right?
I got my first comment today, and it is.
But I mean, in reality, the person commenting doesn't know if there's, they do know because they look at it, but there really isn't any difference between a commenter who's watching something with 1,000 views or 10,000 views or 10 views, right? I mean, if someone's going to comment, the video is the same regardless of how many people are subscribing or other. So yeah, if they're going to comment, they're a commenter anyway. So it's possible, the law of numbers means the more views, probably the more likely you will get comments. But yeah, absolutely, and that's pretty cool. That's hugely motivational. One of my comments that I got on the drone video was that it was too long. That was maybe a little not as constructive. But like we talked about before, is like definitely there's haters, right? There's tons of haters, tons of.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's a guy that's complaining that it's too long. Well, why did you watch the whole thing? Why didn't you scrub through?
You saw how long it was before you clicked on it, and I didn't force you to watch it. Don't bother. Click somewhere else.
I don't. Well, how long are your drone videos?
They depend. The one that he complained about was, I think it's like 5 minutes. It's that abandoned building, but that's also the one that has like 2,500 views on it.
Yeah, so
it's got more views than anything else, and it's 5 minutes. And some of my other drone videos that are only a minute or 2 minutes don't have as many views.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't waste my time even worrying about that. But yeah, it's like, well, how many all right, so five minutes exactly. 5 minutes. You knew what you were getting into.
Absolutely.
It's not like YouTube is forcing you to sit in your chair.
Even if you didn't know what you were getting into, 2 minutes into it, you could have said, "Okay, next," and click something else. So
or scrub to the 30 seconds later. I mean, if you're that afraid that you're going to miss something,
right? Did you think that we were going to see a body down there, and I was saving it for the end?
And if so, it's going to be in the last 10 seconds.
Exactly.
So you could still skip, from 2:30 to 4:25.
If the drone's going to crash, there's no video after the crash. So skip to the end and see if it's still in the air.
That's right. The video is going to go right up to the crash site.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So if that's what you're here for, I probably would have put that in the title.
And it's not like you put the girl in the bikini for the thumbnail.
Right, exactly.
If he's waiting for the bikini girl, she wasn't there to start, and she's not going to be there at the end.
That's right. I wasn't even trying to link to into this. Yeah, so that's pretty funny. What do you think about? Have you watched any vlogs? You watched any people who are just holding the camera and talking?
I have seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Are you asking like my opinion on it, or what I do?
Know if that's something that you can see yourself doing?
I don't want to say no. I mean, right now, no.
Yeah.
But I think that I think that goes along with a personality type, and B, as you get more comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, because technically this is exactly what we're doing now. We're doing, that question. I could have easily asked that question to myself and, talking to myself on the camera and then posting that.
Right.
So I think that there's a very small leap from doing what we're doing, one-on-one to, or, two people to doing the question and answer one person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I think that that is certainly a possibility, especially as you get more subscribers and you're building a larger community and now you're actually maintaining that community.
Well, that's the hardest part, right? Is you keep as I don't want to say you, but I'm like, who cares what I'm doing? You know what I mean? But there's tons of people out there who no one should care what they're doing either. But for some reason, lots of people do. But the other thing too, though, and you mentioned it right at the very beginning, I think that's important to remember is that it's not, it shouldn't be about being famous, or it shouldn't be about getting tons of subscribers. It should be about getting good content, and doing something that you find to be valuable, and something that, well, there are people who want this. That's why I'm doing it. And I need to help people discover what I'm doing because it's valuable, not putting pictures of a nude beach as my thumbnail and say, and tricking people into watching it, but actually people watching it because it's interesting, because it's
right.
Like I said, I think that's really the key, and certainly I don't expect that. I don't expect there's a retirement coming based on a YouTube income. So.
No, not at all. And I think that, and if you're doing it for that, that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
I think that the people that are very successful are only doing it because it's fun for them to do. And if it ever stopped being fun, they'd stop doing it. It doesn't matter, what the income is.
Yep.
They're just not, they're not going to do it because it's not fun anymore.
Yep.
And if you're just, if you're reviewing stuff that you like, or if you're just talking about stuff that you like and other people just happen to find it interesting or entertaining, then even better.
Yeah. Well, and you and I have talked a lot for a lot of years that, about a blog, and, I'm blogging and the reason we should blog. And we know for sure that stuff that we have to say is important, or, is a good contribution to the internet. It's just that you and I are too lazy or busy to actually sit down and write this blog and make pictures and make blah, blah. But making videos is much, much easier. And especially if, like we talked about, if we have these templates set up, that it's super easy to flick on the lights, push record, and go push stop. And now we have this B-roll.
And in all honesty, and I was telling my wife this the other day that, after I put up that zipline video, that was way more fun and took way less time than actually writing a blog. Because if I were going to put that in a blog, I mean, I'd spend 4 hours trying to write something and putting images in and why, who's going to read it? It may be some people, but watching it is still much more entertaining. And think about taking that same concept, and how many times have you been frustrated trying to find the answer to a problem while you're coding, and you finally do, and you're like, wow, this should really be a blog, because this was BS trying to find the answer, couldn't find it anywhere, and you put it in Evernote as, I'm going to write a blog on this because it'd be a great blog post, and there's nothing else out there, on it. And guess what? There's still nothing else out there on it because you didn't write the blog.
You didn't do it either. Right. Exactly.
But if you had that template in place, how fast would that be while you're right there in the moment that you could, wait until the end of your Pomodoro, you still have everything open. You fire up Camtasia, you do a quick and dirty screencast on what the problem was. And here's the solution. And you edit it during the next 3 Pomodoros, your 5 minute breaks, or whatnot. and you put it up on YouTube, and now you have there's something else, there's something out there,
right?
And then on your WordPress site, you throw in the YouTube video, and you put some text in about what it is, just to help with some SEO, and done.
Yeah, the solution to X, Y, and Z.
Yep. Watch the video.
I kind of when we were talking about these templates, I lost track of it, and it just came back to me. But we were talking about setting up template. And I was looking at different like TV shows, and we've talked about before is that, kind of may or may not be YouTube, but something like that being the future of what people sit down and watch TV. But as I don't know what channel it's on, but have you ever seen the TV show called Say Yes to the Dress? It's the girls trying wedding dresses. So I think it's on Bravo. So that was on this past weekend on the TV in the living room, and I ended up standing there and watching, like, probably more than I'm comfortable to admit. I mean, it was like 5 or 6 minutes, and I stood there watching this thing, and I don't know what it was that I found interesting. But anyway, like, the people in it are not actors; they're not interesting. They're generally, kind of bitchy, and whatever. But regardless of that, the point is that I thought, I have lots of ideas like this that would make fine TV show. If this is a good TV show, I have ideas for TV shows, but I don't. The distance that I am from making a TV show is huge. Like, I have no, like, I don't know what to do. Right? I mean, I don't have. And let's talk about, we talk about this idea of interviewing, people with stories, right? Generally older people, right? But, But, people with stories, interviewing them, and that would be a good TV show. But you have to get something in place, because you don't want to say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that this weekend. And before then I need to go buy some 6 clip-on microphones and some, $500 in lights and this, and I need this. You want it to be simple and set up and in place. And even if it is a bunch of iPhones or some GoPros or whatever, but you want to have it set up. So back to the TV thing, if I could just say, hey, here's an idea for a TV show, let's make it happen, right? So I have some folks kind of in line to help me do some editing. I have some people in line to, help me get some video footage, or whatever. That would, like I said, so that's part of that year, that my goal for next year is to put something like that in place where, I mean, even if it's college students, right? I mean, there has to be people in college who want to learn how to edit video, but don't have footage to edit. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then there has to be people who own some video cameras because they, but don't have anything to record or whatever. Right. So, so hopefully I can put something like that together, and find people that I can just kind of call on to say, oh, so a good example of a TV show that I had was, there's a lady who lives around in my area that kind of everyone goes to get custom cakes. So she makes these nice birthday cakes, stuff like that. If I went to her and said, let me know one person a week, and I will go out and videotape them, why they want a cake, and them having the party, and interview some people at the party, talk to you while you're making the cake and what it means to them, and blah, blah. And then I'll buy their cake, right? That's their payment, is their $50 cake is paid for. And so they get it for free, but I can come to their house. And so, because we ordered a birthday cake for our exchange student, right? So, I mean, you think about how interesting that might be. Maybe there's a 95-year-old having a birthday. Maybe there's, a 10-year-old having a birthday, whatever, you know what I mean? So, but I'm so far away from being able to make that happen. I think that would be, if that wedding dress show is a good TV show, this cake idea is a good TV show. You know what I mean? So,
no, I agree. That's very analogous to the 5-minute biography, thing too.
Yeah.
That where you have that template of, business person, something that is interesting, birthday cakes. That's pretty interesting. And then you have the person's buying the cake,
Yep.
and and why, and then the actual event, and it's still only a 5 or 10 minute piece.
Yep.
At the end of the day, and you have the same questions that you're kind of asking, and so there's not a lot there in terms of what it would take, but it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and a good editor maybe takes two of those. Like I said, maybe the high school exchange student and the 95-year-old, right? And in the same 15-minute episode, they're back and forth between the two different people. And I mean, that would be an interesting 15 minutes, and two people get their cakes bought, and they, like I said, I think trying to do one a month or whatever would be. Would be interesting and easy if I had a template, right? If I had a way of talking to people. And
because you have like the Charm City Cakes, so you have those different reality shows that do that at a much larger scale. And they're doing these big cakes for Hollywood, TV shows or whatever, and,
grand openings and stuff.
They're decorating them, so you get to see them decorating, and but that's an entire. I'm not even sure if it is really an entire film crew. I mean, certainly you got them there, but I mean, they're not taping every second of every day.
No, right. Well, think about Cops, right? Cops has a camera person and a sound person in the car, and sometimes just one doing both,
right.
So, and that's, fairly high quality. I mean, it's obviously popular, but, and it comes, so that maybe that's actually probably another good example that equipment doesn't really matter at this point. It's content. They don't have time to set lights up. They have this one guy's got a big camera with a big microphone and a big light,
right.
And that's,
and you're taping the whomever doing whatever.
Right. I love Cops. I love that show. I watch it all the time. I also have been watching a new one called Jail, which is like actually by the same creator as Cops, and they're
well, it's really the natural next step, I think. It's the logical leap,
right? Exactly.
But before long, you'll actually be able to to tag a person from Cops, and it's the sequel.
Right. I would come out with a show called Rehab or something.
Right. You like Jim Bob and Cops. You love him in jail.
Right.
And now we're following Jim Bob to rehab.
Right. Right. Or Prison, which is a different show. Extended Locker, that's a different show.
Yeah. And then Reintegration. Reintegration's a good one. 20 years down the road.
Yeah, so I think that the definition that we're using for template is varied. We're using it to mean, kind of our software setup in order to make things happen quickly. But in addition, like I said, our kind of hardware setup of, I'll just flip these two lights on, push record on these two cameras, and I know I'm getting what I need to get. I can kind of talk. It picks up. It picks up like scratch audio, so I can overdub later, and that's good enough. And now it's all stored, it's saved. I put it in my Dropbox or put it wherever it's going.
Yeah, and maybe a simpler way to think of it, to not confuse terms, is when we're saying template, it's really just a checklist. It's kind of like your pre-flight list. Here's my checklist for unboxing. Yeah, and it's I set it here. I have, 2 cameras at these angles, and go, and then you're, bullet points of what you're going to say. Yeah. Or bullet themes of what you're going to say. So you kind of read through that, and now you got your scratch audio. You do your unboxing. What it is, blah blah blah. Yep. Because that's the thing, you want to make sure that you introduce the product, what it is. I don't know. I mean, but I'm sure that there's certain things that you always, in order for an unboxing video to be successful, you're going to have, certain common things. Right. And having that in a checklist that you can kind of repeat that It's kind of what I view as that template, I guess.
I think that's pretty smart. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. One thing, and I think maybe we'll touch on this real quick, and then we could probably call it. I will tell you that the hour is going by very quickly.
It always does.
So I just wanted to hit on it one more time. Something that we talked about last week was so we had an idea for shows like how to blank in 3 minutes, so we were, that was one of the.
Yeah, we're obviously miserable failures at that.
Yeah, right. So just speaking of an hour zipping by and not accomplishing anything, but yeah. So this, I think that is a really good, whatever it is, playlist or channel name or something. But yeah, how to X in 3 minutes is pretty good concept, and how to change your oil in 3 minutes, or how to.
Because I agree, and I gotta say, I mean, from watching YouTube and stuff, that 3 to 5 minute time slot is really seems to be the sweet spot.
It is the key.
I find that if I'm watching, if the video is longer than 5 minutes, I'm scrubbing, or I'm just trying to get to something that's valuable.
Yeah.
Where if people are talking, it seems to be okay. But if I'm watching a 5 minute time lapse of something, without any narration or any key as to what's going on, I'm just finding myself getting more and more and more irritated.
Right.
And until eventually I click on something else.
That's the real tough part, I think, about trying to edit my drone videos is like, well, the whole, and it goes back to, like I said, that comment where he said it was too long.
But I think a drone video is different. That you're probably not getting narration with a drone video.
Right.
Unless the channel is kind of set up in like that 5 minute, biography where you're, getting the history of a building and you're talking about it.
Yeah.
As kind of a voiceover, or, someone else is talking about it and you're able to fade in and out. And, so I think that's very acceptable. You know what you're getting into. You have that expectation.
Yeah. So exactly what you said there. So if you're using drone video as like B-roll, so someone's talking about something and you have drone footage with it. But yeah, if it's just a drone video for drone video's sake, then it's like, well, shoot it. You almost want to see it unedited, right? I mean, you just want to see every shot. That's the whole point,
Yeah, exactly. You know what you're getting into with that.
Yeah.
I don't step onto a plane and expect it to fly someplace.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm not going to complain when this airplane is in the air. Yeah. So, kind of speaking of that, is that as I look at the calendar, today is the 16th. The next week, next Wednesday, next Tuesday, the next 2 Tuesdays, I'll be in England. So we'll take the next 2 off, and we'll get back together. I think, would it be like on the 5th, January 5th, I think is.
So this is the end of our year, as they say.
That's right. This is our final video of 2015. I do feel he's improving, and I like, even though they still go an hour, which we've just got done talking about is too long for a video. I don't care, because people can scrub or they can not watch them.
Well, and for these, I think these are more for us. I think that as we get more ideas, that the how to in 3 minutes or whatever, that's like a channel idea. This is more for, I think, in my mind, this helps me and you. This gets us comfortable with the camera. This is, if someone finds it valuable, awesome. Leave a comment about it. If you're annoyed, well, change the channel.
Yep.
We're not.
Yep. Well, and the other thing that I see I would hope this channel can morph into is shorter. But if people, if we start to have people watching and coming to this, I would like it if people said, hey, I have a question, and asking a question, and then you and I discuss the question for 90 seconds, and we maybe answer 4 or 5, 6 questions, and that's it.
Yes. That would be pretty cool. I'd like to do a channel like that.
So, but no, in the meantime, I completely agree that it's just good it's just good practice to sit here and talk and
Yep.
be on camera. And I watch them. I generally don't watch the entire hour, but I do watch a lot of it and try to.
Yeah, I do too.
I say, God, I'm an irritating idiot. So,
Well, what I find very helpful is as we're talking, and it's very helpful in terms of learning to speak. You see, I just use that or that so you're kind of as we rewatch, you're mindful of the fillers that you're using,
yeah,
and as we keep going, you start using less and less of them.
yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I find it very irritating in podcasts and stuff when people have use a lot of fillers.
It's definitely irritating to me, and I'm aware of it. I don't know if I'm better at it, but I am aware of it, and try not to do them as much. But
I think that as we talk, the more we do these types of videos where it's you and I doing this, and especially if we go back and rewatch them, and we're aware of it, that tendency to use fillers does diminish.
That's true,
and that helps. I think that helps the quality.
That's true. So terrific. Well, have a good holiday and a good new year, and we'll talk again in a few weeks.
This sounds good. To travel safe and have a wonderful trip.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.
All right, later.
Bye.